The City of Prairie View workshop meeting of the City Council to be held on Friday, September 20th, 2019 is now called to order. And the time is 6:06 p.m.
Was that for Jones?
Is this on, Ms. Fine?
I'm coming around.
Okay. Okay, so Ms. Fine, if you would certify the form, please.
Councilmember Rowland,
Present.
Councilmember Randall, Councilmember Jones,
Here.
Councilmember Williams, Councilmember Wallace.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. And if we would stand for a brief invocation and the pledge of allegiance. And Ms. Jordan, if you would do us the honors and give a short prayer.
We come this afternoon, Lord, thanking you for helping us to make it through your day. We thank you, dear Lord, for all the precious gifts that you have given to us. We ask that you continue to hold us close in your arms and make our lives such that they may be good lives that you would be proud of. We ask blessings upon our council members and our mayor. We ask that you give them the tools that they need in order to make our city great. All these blessings that we ask in your name, dear Lord, thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Revenue and expenditure budget public hearing for the City of Prairie View for the 2019-2020 fiscal year, Friday, September 20th, 2019. And then the public hearing to discuss the proposed 2019-2020 property tax rate for the City of Prairie View. Mr. Johnson, you want to start us off,
Okay.
please?
For this particular property tax public hearing, the council has proposed a property tax rate of .73049, which is, the components of it is the M&O, the portion that goes toward the operations, general operations of the city is .52395, and the portion that will service the debt of the city is .20654. And that's a total of .73049. That rate is applied toward your appraised value divided by 100. And again, this rate is the same as last year's, no change. With that, public hearing is open for any residents that might have any questions pertaining to what the council has proposed.
Yes, sir.
My
Mr. Anderson.
question that I asked last time was, the law, I don't know if I can say this time again or not, but the law for raising the tax next year doesn't affect our rate this year.
Oh, no, no.
How's that related?
Well, if anything, the main thing that the law is going to affect next year is how we calculate your rollback rate.
Rollback rate?
Well, yeah, see, there's two rates, the effective tax rate and the rollback rate. And what the law is changed is it's going to cause that rollback rate to be lower than what we could calculate at the present time. That's primarily the difference in it right now that we can see.
Oh, in the new law?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, anything else from the public?
Yes, I would
Yes,
like to
Ms.
know,
Bowman.
we're talking about the budget or no?
Property tax rate, this is property tax here.
Revenue and expenditure budget public hearing.
No,
Yeah.
no, this is the second hearing for the property tax rate.
That's not what it says on the paper though, is it?
No, keep reading.
council? We have Attorney Griffin now on by conference call.
Yes, so the way the agenda is posted, both the budget and the tax rate can be discussed at this meeting. The formal public hearing for the budget is on Monday at 5:15. However, it is posted on the agenda for this evening, so even though it's not the formal public hearing, it can still be discussed.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
your question
Excuse me?
on the
Okay.
budget.
So I would like to know, we have $45 million debt, and then we have a cab. What is the cab for?
No. Where are you getting
$45
$45
million
million debt?
Off of the comptroller's office.
Well, then that's not our debt. Our debt is.
It's what you've given them. These are your numbers. I
No,
talked to
no,
them.
no,
So
ma'am, I don't
if
mean
it's
to.
wrong, it's something that you've not,
No, I've never seen or heard
I've,
that.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is.
it's on the Texas Comptroller's office under transparency.
Yeah.
And it says here
We'll have to.
that tax-supported
Mr.
debt,
Johnson, one person talking at a time. She's asking questions.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to find my.
it says that tax-supported debt is 4590, 850,000, okay? And then the next one is a cab, an outstanding for Prairie View as of August the 31st.
Let's back up. How much is that debt again?
The first debt is 4,590,850.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
4
the
million. You
bond.
said
Oh,
45.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
right.
sorry,
Right.
my
Okay,
mistake,
you said
there.
all.
4
Yeah,
million.
okay, that's the bond.
Okay.
Okay, but what was it for? Because it doesn't say what it was for,
Okay.
do you know?
Yes, ma'am. We had three different bonds back in 2011.
Right,
One bond was to build this facility right here, was 900,000.
okay,
Another bond was $1 million, and that was to pave all the streets, which we did. And what's left is, what the remainder is for the utility system, the
Okay.
water and sewer
Okay.
system.
okay,
And currently, we have about 800,000 remaining, and part of that is dedicated toward the new
okay,
line extension that we're gonna, because we have a matching on that.
okay.
And then the balance, we can put that into our utility system, primarily upgrade of the lift stations.
Okay. Mr. Anderson?
When you say
Question?
line extension, which line?
No, I mean,
Oh,
The
oh,
new line, James Muse Parkway.
James Muse Parkway.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You have another question?
And then the cab, what is that for?
The what now?
CAB.
The how much is that?
It says capital appreciation bond, CAB.
Oh, that's the same bond. The bond is the capital appreciation bond.
According to this, it's not.
Okay, how much is on the capital appreciation?
What it says in this is that you borrow this money
Right, we did.
and it must be paid back in one lump sum. So you should be putting money aside. That's what it says
Okay,
here.
all right, let me just.
Well, I'm not sure how that would
Right.
rate, because we did have a refinancing of our bond debt
Okay,
within the last 24 months, so I'm not sure. And again, because we're not looking at what you have, it does put us at somewhat of a disadvantage. I know what Mr. Johnson shared was the several different bond debt issues and what they were for that the city undertook in the last several years. And they total up to, sounds like the
About
4.5 million or
right.
so that you're discussing.
and you could be right. I'm just saying the way I look at it,
Yeah.
this is separate because it shows the cab principal amount, 850. That's all it says.
850,000?
Just says 850. And then it says the interest amount is 279,150.
Mhm.
And then the maturity amount is 280,000.
Okay, that's,
So,
yeah, a lot of that is front weighted on interest, so they just separate by law because they have to show the interest and the principal separately, but it just sounds like too small a principal, but again, with not knowing, we wouldn't be able to answer that as we sit here today. But we can certainly take a look at, and get a copy of what you have, and be glad to
Okay.
get back with you.
I would appreciate
Yeah.
that, because he can't answer questions. It has to come from you, is what they said when I talked to him.
Mhm.
When I talked to the,
Well, at a public
at the
hearing, we defer to him, and again, his knowledge and history of, and again, otherwise, I'd have to say, I can't talk to you about it.
I know, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I'm not trying to say, I'm just asking these questions because the comptroller told me I have to get the information from you, that's
no
all.
problem. No problem. No, in this, while we're discussing things that incorporate that, it's
Okay.
not a problem.
Okay.
Whatever one of us you get it from. Any other questions from the public?
Are we gonna go line by line or no?
No, ma'am, we don't have that kind of time.
Okay, so then can I ask, how much money do you give to the economic development? Do you know that?
It's
Yes,
a,
ma'am.
what, a 1/4% of the sales tax or something like that, Ms. Johnson?
1.5%.
1/2%
Right.
of the sales tax goes for economic development, and at their meeting, you'd actually see what that total has accumulated to be. Any other questions? Okay, we'll shift to council. Council, who wants to go first? With whatever?
I don't think we have any questions as far as, today, I know it's Sunday, we probably have, when we bring our budget, we'll probably, I know I have some questions, to ask JJ regarding the budget, but I'm prepared to ask those questions, Sunday and not, today.
Okay. Anything else from anyone on the council?
Today, we were just here to discuss, well, we thought we
The
were just
property
here
tax
to
rate.
discuss the property tax.
That's what was set up.
And we still have a meeting Sunday, right? All right.
I don't think we can have a meeting on a Sunday or a holiday. Council? I was just informed this was.
No, it has to be on a weekday and not on a holiday. So it cannot be a weekend or a holiday.
So we're not having another budget meeting?
But we all have one Monday, right? Or,
So is it a difference between a public meeting and a workshop? Like, so a public required meeting, no, we couldn't do that on a Sunday. But the meeting that I thought we were having Sunday is just a regular budget workshop meeting, which can happen on any, we've had it on, you can have it on a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah,
This
we
is not
have
the
workshops
required
on
meeting.
Saturday.
So, let me see, I sent this statute over, I don't have it sitting in front of me. Let me look it up really quick, give me just a second.
okay. And what we could do, could we, since they're listed right there, it asks if there are any questions on the property tax rate? Would that be appropriate today? Since it's posted?
Yes,
Okay. Are there any public questions on the property tax rate? Since it's listed, we'll just look to touch bases. If there are any questions that somebody hadn't asked at the previous meeting or anything?
So when you set the rate, how do you determine that rate?
All right, the rate is based on what the financial needs of the city is. We go through and we put.
Before the appraisal is done or after?
No, the appraisal is done first.
Okay,
All right, because you have to have the appraisal to be able to apply a rate against it.
okay,
We got the appraisal,
okay,
and so then we sit down and when you put your budget together, you go through first thing you gotta do is cover your debt.
right,
It's the first thing we have to do.
mhm,
And so we know what our debt is. And that's the first thing that's published in the paper, is what our debt is.
Mhm.
All right, then after we determine our debt, then we look at, from the administration side, we look at what our needs are. And based on what those needs are, we then add that to the debt, and we
Okay.
come up with a viable rate
correct,
to service, for the day. And what we did is, we looked at it and we saw that to best fit the city, we could still use the same rate we had last year. We'd have loved to increase the rate for certain needs, but we felt that now is not the time. We did have a valuation increase from the new properties in the city, and that helped us out tremendously. That made it possible for us to retain the current rate and still meet the needs of the city. If you look at our revenue structure, property taxes is our largest revenue source, okay, because of the economics of the city. And to provide the needs of all the residents, since that's our largest revenue source, and that's one that we can depend on. Right now, we got about a 95% collection rate,
Right.
and that's what's good. With delinquent taxes, we actually have a 100% collection rate when you
No,
add.
Mr. Johnson, you've gone on, you covered how
Okay.
we arrived at the rate.
Right.
And the rest is.
And
Yes.
I have a response in the meantime to your earlier question. It's the public hearing itself on the tax rate that cannot be held on the weekend.
Yeah, that's,
For a normal meeting you could have discussing it, but the public hearing cannot be on the weekend.
When it has a public hearing, that would work, so.
yeah, so.
Yeah, so we're good.
So is it, Ms. Bynum, were you able to post it?
Well, I gotta check with, Judge to see if she still has it posted. Yes,
On
she
the
still,
website?
yeah, she still has it posted on the
So,
website.
If I'm mistaken, Attorney Griffin once said that as long as it's posted on the door, it doesn't, I mean, you still wanna put on the website, but it doesn't void the meeting. Is that correct, Attorney Griffin?
It needs to be on the website and on the door.
I'm saying, so if it's posted just on the door but not on the website, does that mean it's canceled or can it still be able to continue?
You need to have it on the website as well. Is it not on the website?
She said it was on the website, but I think it was taken down because.
No, I'm looking at it right now.
So it's there?
Monday, December 22nd is still there.
Okay.
Budget workshop to discuss the 2019-2020 revenue and expenditure budget. So that's the budget only, not taxes, is what's on that meeting.
Right.
And one of the things, oh, well, let me ask, are there any other questions on the property tax rate?
When you are setting the property tax rate, you don't take into consideration the residents of the city.
Yes, ma'am, we do.
So Prairie View is number one in the state in poverty.
Mm-hmm.
57% point something, 57.1 are below poverty in the city of Prairie View,
Mm-hmm.
and 24.8% are considered very poor.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't take those kind of numbers into account?
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe a lot of the numbers that you're referencing
Mhm.
are students, not property tax owners. So when you speak to property tax rate, that wouldn't affect me when I was a student, transient, passing through, because I'm either on campus or I'm renting in the
Right.
community,
Mhm.
but I'm not affecting the property tax rate, because I don't own property.
But,
So when they take those kind of numbers, they're counting a lot of our student population, which is fine for those numbers, because as a student, I was in poverty, I was broke, I was working.
And I understand that,
Yeah.
but your demographics in this city are still females over the age of 68. And that in of itself tells you that women still make, 75–80% of what men make. So if the bulk of your population is still single women, would that not also impact this number?
No, because you have to know what percentage of the poverty rate you're saying
Yeah.
are those single women. If you have students included,
Right.
and with
Mhm.
censuses you tend to do that, then you can't look at it because you're not even looking at apples and oranges, because one is fruit and one is not.
Okay. But I do know that all of this has come off of the census website.
Mhm.
And so I do know that it says that the single largest population in Prairie View are single women over the age of 68.
Mhm.
So it has to have part of that number because of that, if they're saying that's the largest population. It wouldn't, if you're saying it's students would impact that number, but they're saying the largest part of the population in this city is single women
Yeah.
over the age of 68.
And those are from statistics, just about 10 years ago, since we're
No,
about to take on
18.
two.
2018.
You said census
Right.
wasn't taken in 2018.
But they update, I mean, they have a full page, I mean, they update all the time.
Right, well, that, whatever impact that has on
Okay.
ours, based on what Mr.
Okay.
Johnson shared with you.
Okay,
Because that does tend to dive deeper into it, because,
okay,
but I will say this, the largest population in our city is not single women over 65.
and
I
I
go to
had
too
thought
many
that,
people's
I had
houses.
thought that,
Yeah,
but,
there's just no way. The student population, far outweighs that. But anything else from council on property tax rate?
I would just say for your question, to answer your question, the numbers that you are talking about, the updated figures, don't impact our property tax rate. It is a separate issue, but it's an important issue and why we need to do the census and do the things.
right,
What should be included in our budget to make up for those numbers, or some of the services that we currently have or may not, or additional services that we could be providing. But as far as taking in consideration someone's age, race, or religion, we cannot do that in reference to setting the property tax rate.
okay.
Anything else on the property tax rate from council?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been probably moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Done.